Ladies, let me ask you something real. How many times have you been told that vulnerability is beautiful? That opening your heart will bring you closer to love? That if you just let him in, he'll finally understand you, cherish you, and never leave? But what if I told you this? Not every man deserves to see your softest places. In a world where women are constantly encouraged to be emotionally open, to prove they are loving, loyal, and real, we've forgotten one critical truth. Your emotions are sacred, and not every man deserves access to your inner world, your tears, your fears, or your pain. See, the modern woman is powerful, she's ambitious, she's nurturing, she carries the world on her back, but somewhere along the way, society convinced her that love means exposure, that to be chosen, she must give all of herself. Her past, her doubts, her insecurities, her emotional wounds. And in doing so, many women hand over their power far too soon. Let's be clear, being emotional isn't the problem. The problem is being emotionally exposed to the wrong man. You think sharing your pain will make him stay. You think showing him how much you need him will draw him closer. But in reality, it often does the opposite. It makes him feel in control. It turns your vulnerability into leverage. It causes him to see you not as a confident woman, but as someone who leans too hard, feels too much, and loses herself in love. And that's not how queens move. This video is your wake-up call, a guide, a shield, a sisterly reminder that not everything about you needs to be revealed, especially not to a man who hasn't earned it. We're going to walk through the 8 emotional weaknesses you must learn to protect, not to be fake, not to play games, but to guard your peace, your self-respect, and your emotional power. You'll learn why oversharing your pain too soon can backfire, why emotional dependence can kill attraction, and why the strongest women are often the most emotionally disciplined. Because the truth is, men respect mystery. They value strength. They are drawn to women who know how to control their emotions, not suppress them, but channel them with grace and wisdom. This isn't about becoming cold, it's about being wise. It's about knowing the difference between emotional connection and emotional exposure. So if you've ever found yourself crying in front of a man who didn't deserve your tears, if you've ever given too much of your heart to someone who didn't know how to hold it, if you've ever felt weak when you should have been standing strong, this message is for you. Sit tight, grab your journal, and most importantly, get ready to reclaim your emotional power. Because starting now, you'll learn what to reveal, what to hold back, and how to move like a woman who is always in control of her emotions and her destiny. Let's begin. Your emotions are sacred, not public property. Let's get one thing straight. Your emotions are not a weakness. They are not flaws. They are not burdens you need to apologize for. They are sacred, they are powerful, and most importantly, they are not meant for everyone's eyes. Especially not the eyes of a man who has not proven himself worthy. Too often, women are taught that being open and vulnerable is how you build connection, and while vulnerability is a beautiful thing, it must be handled with wisdom and timing, because the truth is, not every man has the emotional maturity or the integrity to handle the depths of what you feel. Not every man is a safe place for your heart. Some will listen just to use your pain against you later. Some will pretend to care only to judge you quietly. And others will see your openness not as strength but as weakness. That's why you have to protect your emotional core. You wouldn't leave your doors unlocked in a dangerous neighborhood. So why would you leave your heart wide open in front of someone who hasn't earned your trust? Your emotions are sacred. They are yours to manage, yours to own, and yours to guard. When you cry, when you break, when you confess your deepest fears, those are intimate parts of your soul. They are not entertainment. They are not tools to get validation. They are not leverage in a conversation. They are a reflection of your humanity, and they deserve respect. But here's the real danger. When you expose too much of your emotional world too soon, you give the wrong man a map to your soul without knowing his intentions. And that kind of exposure can lead to manipulation, heartbreak, and regret. So, what do? You practice emotional discretion. You learn to hold space for your feelings without putting them on display. You become your own safe place before expecting someone else to be. You cry in private, heal in silence, and grow stronger from the inside out. That doesn't mean you're cold. That doesn't mean you're fake. It means you're wise enough to know that privacy is power. The woman who knows how to carry herself with grace even in pain is a woman that no one can shake. She doesn't need to beg for empathy. She doesn't need to over-explain her emotions. She simply knows that her feelings matter and that they don't need to be public property to be valid. So, guard your heart, not with walls, but with wisdom. Let your emotions be felt, but not always seen. Learn to speak from your strength, not your wounds. Because in a world that tries to define you by your softness, your ability to protect your emotions becomes your greatest form of power. You don't owe every man access to your soul. Only the worthy get to see what's sacred. Emotional control is a superpower. There's a myth that says women are too emotional, that our feelings make us unstable, that we cry too much, care too much, feel too deeply. But let me tell you something powerful. Your emotions don't make you weak. It's how you manage them that makes you strong. And in a world that's constantly testing your limits, emotional control is not just a skill, it's a superpower. You see, emotions are natural. You're allowed to feel angry, sad, frustrated, disappointed. But the moment you let those emotions control your actions, you give away your power. And when you're dealing with a man, especially one who doesn't understand your depth, losing emotional control can cost you your dignity, your influence, and your self-respect. The truth is, many men respect calm under pressure. They notice when you don't respond with chaos. They're watching how you carry yourself when you're disappointed, how you act when things don't go your way. When you master the art of staying composed, not pretending, but controlling your delivery, you become unshakable. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means processing them wisely. It means choosing when and how to respond, instead of reacting impulsively. It means walking away from a triggering moment to gather your strength before you speak. That is not weakness. That is emotional maturity. And it's rare. Some women give their hearts away too quickly. They argue out of hurt. They cry in front of men who aren't even invested. They reveal every wound, every fear, every insecurity, hoping he'll understand. But let's be real, not every man wants to understand. Some just want to see how much power they have over you. That's why you must discipline your emotional responses. Don't show a man that his coldness broke you. Don't let him see that you're begging for reassurance. Let him feel your silence. Let him feel your boundaries. Let him know you can care deeply but still walk away if you're not respected. A woman who maintains her emotional balance commands a different kind of attention. She doesn't get dragged into emotional games. She doesn't need to yell to be heard. She doesn't crumble when things don't go her way. She handles her emotions like a queen, gracefully, intentionally, powerfully. And guess what? That's the woman men remember. That's the woman who stands out. That's the woman who sets the standard, not by being cold, but by being controlled. So, don't let the world convince you that being emotional is a flaw. Instead, let it be your strength when it's mastered, because the woman who feels everything but is ruled by nothing is the woman who becomes unstoppable. And remember this, a man might forget what you said, but he will never forget how you carried yourself in your hardest moments. Your emotional control is your crown. Wear it with pride. Don't let a man read you like a book. Here's the truth every powerful woman needs to live by. Mystery is strength. The moment a man can read you like a book, every page, every paragraph, every emotion, you've lost your edge. You've made it too easy for him to navigate you, too predictable for him to value you deeply. And when you become predictable, you become controllable. Now, don't confuse this with being fake or playing games. We're not talking about manipulation. We're talking about discernment. We're talking about emotional wisdom. We're talking about the power of keeping certain things to yourself, not out of fear, but out of confidence. You see, when you let a man know every single thing about what triggers you, what makes you insecure, what makes you anxious, he now holds the keys to your emotional house. And if he's not trustworthy, if he's not stable, if he's immature, he will use those keys to invade your peace. That's why you must train yourself to hold certain pieces of your heart close. You don't need to explain every mood swing. You don't need to narrate every thought in your head. You don't have to justify every decision or over-communicate every emotion. Let him guess sometimes. Let him wonder. A woman who is hard to read is a woman who cannot be played easily. She doesn't expose all her fears. She doesn't break down at the first sign of conflict. She doesn't lay her whole emotional history on the table within the first few conversations. Not because she's guarded, but because she's wise. Men respect what they can't easily figure out. When you reveal too much too soon, you might feel like you're building a connection, but in reality, you might just be building a blueprint for him to manipulate or control you. And once he knows exactly how you operate, he knows how to push your buttons, how to get reactions, how to use your vulnerabilities to his advantage. So hold back. Not in a cold way, but in a confident way. Be calm. Be graceful. Let him see the surface, but don't let him dive into the depths until he's earned that access. If he's patient, intentional, and consistent, then yes, open up with time. But never give someone full access to your soul when all they've shown you is surface-level interest. You're not a story to be skimmed. You're a whole novel that takes time to understand. The right man will be willing to read slowly, carefully, and with respect. So don't let anyone read you too fast. Don't wear your emotions on your sleeve. Keep your power tucked in the folds of silence. Because the woman who's hard to read, she's also hard to manipulate, hard to break, and impossible to forget. Let your mystery be your armor. Let your silence speak volumes. Not every man deserves to see you vulnerable. Vulnerability is sacred. It is not a weakness, it is a beautiful, powerful form of truth. But just because vulnerability is powerful, doesn't mean it should be handed out to everyone, especially not to every man you cross paths with. Because not every man is capable of holding your vulnerability with care. Not every man deserves to see you at your most raw, your most open, your most emotionally exposed. Here's what too many women do. They meet a man, and in their hope for connection, they offer him access to their deepest wounds. They pour out their past trauma. They reveal their insecurities. They cry in front of someone who hasn't even earned the right to know what makes them cry. Why? Because they confuse openness with closeness. But listen carefully. Giving someone emotional access doesn't build connection, it builds dependency, if done too soon. And a man who hasn't proven his emotional maturity will not protect your vulnerability. He might use it, ignore it, or even weaponize it. A woman who knows her worth protects her heart. She knows that her emotions are precious, not performative. She understands that vulnerability is a privilege, not a strategy to bond. She opens up slowly, with intention, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Men don't respect what they didn't work to earn. When you give your emotional truth too freely, it loses its value. It's like handing someone a treasure they didn't even know was rare. They won't recognize its worth, and worse, they might mishandle it. You must learn to observe before you reveal. Watch how he handles his own emotions. Watch how he speaks about other women. Watch how he reacts when you're not at your best. These are your clues. If he can even manage his own feelings, what makes you think he can hold space for yours? Vulnerability, when placed in the right hands, deepens love, builds intimacy, and strengthens connection. But when it's handed to the wrong person, it leads to regret, emotional pain, and self-doubt. Don't let loneliness trick you into thinking you owe a man your truth just because he's there. Presence doesn't equal worth. Attention doesn't equal safety. Just because he listens doesn't mean he understands. Just because he comforts you doesn't mean he's committed to protecting your heart in the long run. Your emotional world is a sacred garden. You don't open the gate to every passerby. You wait for the one who shows patience, consistency, and care. Not just in words, but in actions. Then, and only then, do you slowly let your walls down. So the next time you feel the urge to open up too quickly, pause and ask yourself, has he earned this part of me? Because a powerful woman doesn't hide her vulnerability forever, she just reveals it wisely, carefully, and only to the man who proves he's worthy. Emotional control is a woman's superpower. Let's get one thing straight. Emotional control is not about being cold, detached, or heartless. It's about being centered. It's about being so in tune with yourself that you no longer allow anyone, especially a man, to pull you out of your peace. Because once a man knows how to trigger your emotions at will, he controls you. A woman who who cannot control her emotions is easy to manipulate. The wrong man will test you. He'll say things just to see you react. He'll provoke you, disappoint you, ignore you. Not because he doesn't know it hurts, but because he's watching what you'll do. Will you break down? Will you chase him? Will you beg for clarity or lose sleep over his games? But when you master emotional discipline, you become unpredictable. You don't flinch when provoked. You don't beg when abandoned. You don't over-explain when misunderstood. You stand still, you breathe deeply, and you move in silence. And that right there is intimidating. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're playing by your own emotional rules. Men are drawn to women who carry themselves with emotional strength. Why? Because strength commands respect. A woman who doesn't lose her cool easily, who doesn't let every little thing shake her, is a woman who controls the energy in the room. She's grounded. She's calm. She's dangerous. In the best way. And here's the truth. Emotional control is learned. It's a muscle. You build it over time by refusing to give your power away in moments of weakness. You grow it by pausing before reacting, by stepping back instead of snapping, by journaling your pain instead of throwing it at someone who can't fix it. It doesn't mean you bottle things up. It means you process them with wisdom. It means you vent to people who have earned your trust, not men who are still proving themselves. It means you don't let anyone's chaos become your chaos. Because the moment you let a man see that he has full access to your emotional buttons, he'll push them. Not always with bad intentions, but often without awareness. And if he's not mature, he'll confuse your reactions with weakness, when in truth, it's your power that was simply left unguarded. Guard it. Guard your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Let him wonder how you stay calm. Let him guess what you're thinking. Let your silence speak louder than your screams. A woman in control of her emotions is not a woman in denial. She's a woman who has learned that true power is peace. You don't need to fight for respect. You don't need to cry to be heard. You don't need to over-express to be loved. Emotional control is your armor. Wear it with pride, because the moment you master it, no man, no matter how charming, how toxic, or how smooth, can ever shake your crown. Don't let a man be the source of your validation. One of the greatest emotional traps a woman can fall into is believing that her worth is defined by how a man sees her. That if he compliments her, she's beautiful. If he chooses her, she's valuable. If he stays, she's enough. But here's the truth. Any validation that comes from someone else can be taken away at any moment. When your confidence is built on someone else's opinion, you give them the keys to your self-esteem. And if they walk away, they take your sense of worth with them. That's why you must never let a man, no matter how kind, how loving, how magnetic, be the source of your validation. Because when you rely on a man to feel beautiful, secure, or worthy, you become emotionally dependent. You start to chase his approval. You change yourself to fit his expectations. You silence your voice so you don't scare him away. And what happens then? You shrink. You forget who you are. You lose sight of your value, not because you never had it, but because you handed it over in exchange for attention that was never meant to be your foundation. So listen carefully. A powerful woman does not seek validation, she radiates it. She walks into the room already knowing her worth. She's not looking for a man to confirm she's enough. She's looking for a man who can match what she already knows. When you know your worth, you stop over-explaining. You stop competing. You stop asking, why didn't he choose me? Because you realize you don't need to be chosen to be valuable. You already are. The truth is, the kind of man who's truly worth your time doesn't want a woman who needs him to feel whole. He wants a woman who's already complete. A woman who doesn't crumble if he's distant. A woman who doesn't beg when he pulls back. A woman who knows how to stand tall. Alone. Start validating yourself. Tell yourself you're beautiful before anyone else does. Celebrate your accomplishments even if no one claps. Love yourself on the days you feel invisible. That's not arrogance, it's emotional independence. And when you love yourself first, the right man will see you and admire that strength, not feel threatened by it. So if you're waiting on a man's text to feel good, if you're posting for attention and feeling crushed when you don't get it, if you're altering yourself to fit someone else's version of desirable, pause. Take your power back. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to be yourself, boldly, unapologetically, and completely. Because the moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you become unstoppable. And that kind of woman, she doesn't chase love, she attracts it. Don't share your deepest insecurities too soon. There is power in privacy, especially when it comes to your emotional wounds. One of the most common mistakes women make in the early stages of getting to know a man is opening up too much too soon. You think vulnerability equals closeness. You think telling him your darkest secrets will make him understand you. You believe that if you lay your heart bare, he'll be more likely to protect it. But here's the hard truth. Not every man deserves front row access to your pain. When you reveal your deepest insecurities to someone who hasn't earned your trust, you hand over a weapon. You give him information about your fears, your doubts, your emotional soft spots. And not everyone will use that information with care. Some will sympathize, others will store it, and the wrong ones will exploit it. A woman who reveals everything about herself too soon seems emotionally unsafe. Not because her feelings are wrong, but because they are unguarded. And when a man sees that you pour out your soul without really knowing him, he won't value that gift. He'll assume you do it for everyone. He won't feel special. And worst of all, he may start to view you as emotionally unstable instead of emotionally open. Let's be clear, vulnerability is a strength, but timing is everything. Emotional intimacy should be earned, not rushed. A man should first show consistency, respect, and emotional maturity before you let him see the parts of you that are still healing. Not because you're hiding who you are, but because you're protecting what's sacred. Your insecurities are not shameful, your trauma is not a burden, your past doesn't make you unlovable. But you must learn to carry these pieces with dignity and discernment. Only open up to those who have shown they are safe places. Men who listen without judgment, respond with kindness, and stay even when it's inconvenient. Too often, women overshare because they confuse instant connection with real connection. But real intimacy doesn't happen in one night. It's built over time, it's tested through consistency, and most importantly, it's proven by action. So when a man asks about your past, your scars, your emotional baggage, pause. Ask yourself, has he earned this information? Has he proven himself to be emotionally mature? Has he made space for your truth without making it about him? If the answer is no, don't overshare to fill the silence. Don't tell your story to feel closer. Learn to enjoy the mystery. Let him get to know your strength before he sees your scars. Because a man who is truly worthy of your truth will never rush you to reveal it. He'll earn your trust day by day. He'll protect your heart once you hand it to him. And he'll admire your strength, not just in being vulnerable, but in knowing when to be. Never let a man know when you're emotionally dependent on him. The wise woman knows how to love deeply, but she never becomes emotionally dependent on a man. And most importantly, she never reveals it when she is. Emotional dependence is dangerous. It gives someone the power to dictate your mood, your confidence, and your sense of self. When a man knows that your happiness rises and falls based on his actions, it shifts the power dynamic. He begins to feel in control, and not always in a healthy way. The chase is over, the mystery is gone. And instead of respect, what often follows is complacency, or worse, manipulation. Understand this. A man should add to your happiness, not become the source of it. When you become emotionally dependent on a man, you start sacrificing your needs to keep him happy. You cancel plans just to be available. You change your behavior to avoid upsetting him. You seek constant reassurance, afraid of losing his attention. And the moment he withdraws, your world crumbles. That's not love, that's fear wearing a mask. Men are wired to respect strength. When you show that your life, your peace, and your identity revolve around him, he may feel flattered at first, but eventually he'll lose interest. Why? Because it starts to feel like pressure, not partnership. He doesn't feel inspired to rise, he feels weighed down. The woman who commands long-term respect is the one who maintains her independence. She can love you, support you, even build a life with you, but she does not need you to survive emotionally. She knows how to be whole by herself. And that energy, that's magnetic. So how do you protect yourself from emotional dependence? Start by building a life you're proud of, one that fulfills you outside of any relationship. Pour into your passions. Deepen your friendships. Stay connected to your purpose. Keep doing the things that light you up from the inside, with or without a man by your side. Next, set emotional boundaries. Know when to give and when to step back. Don't let your desire for closeness cloud your judgment. Love with intention, but never at the cost of your own emotional well-being. And most importantly, guard your emotional exposure. Don't confess to needing him to feel whole. Don't cry every time he pulls away. Don't let him see that your stability depends on him choosing you. Keep your emotional foundation solid and share your heart only when he's proven he can handle it with care. Remember, real love doesn't come from dependency, it grows in freedom. When a man sees that you are complete on your own, he doesn't run, he steps up. Because he knows you chose him, but you never needed him. And that kind of love, it's powerful, passionate, and rooted in mutual respect. Now that we've reached the end of this powerful message, let's take a moment to reflect on what it really means to hide your emotional weaknesses in front of men. This isn't about becoming heartless. This isn't about building walls so high no one can reach you. It's about being emotionally smart. It's about choosing who gets access to the deepest parts of you. Because your emotions, your fears, your insecurities, your soft spots are sacred. They are not for public display. They are not for every man you date. They are not for anyone who hasn't proven they can hold your heart with care, consistency, and commitment. Too many women give away their emotional truth too early, believing it will build connection. But what it often builds is imbalance, where one person holds all the power and the other is left hoping not to be hurt. A strong woman doesn't reveal everything. She reveals what she chooses, when she chooses, and only to those who deserve it. She knows her worth. She knows her value. She knows that being emotional is not a weakness, but being emotionally reckless is. Yes, feel your feelings. Yes, process your pain, but do it wisely. Do it privately. Do it with people who have earned your vulnerability. Because not every man will respect it. Some will exploit it. Some will use it against you. And some will run from it. And you don't have time for that. Your heart is too powerful. Your journey is too important. Your peace is too valuable. Remember, strength doesn't mean silence. It means discernment. It means knowing when to speak and when to hold back. It means knowing that just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to show it. Emotional control is your weapon. Emotional discipline is your superpower. When a man sees that you are not emotionally needy, not overly reactive, not clinging to him for validation, he rises. He respects you. He wants to earn your trust instead of taking it for granted. That's the kind of dynamic you deserve. One built on mutual strength, not silent suffering. So from this day forward, protect your emotional energy. Stop over-explaining your pain. Stop giving your heart to those who mishandle it. And stop thinking that emotional exposure is the path to love. It's not. Self-respect is. You are not weak because you feel. You are powerful because you know when to keep it to yourself. Let your mystery speak louder than your vulnerability. Let your peace intimidate those who come with chaos. And let your confidence show the world that your emotions are not a game to be played with, but a treasure to be earned. Walk like a woman who cannot be shaken. Love like a woman who never begs. And live like a woman who knows her worth. Every single day. Now go, keep your head high, keep your heart guarded, and never forget, you are the prize. The right man will never need to see you broken to love you whole.